Hello, we're up to session 9, 2561, Theory and Practice 2 to 8. And we're covering positive learning environments, indoor and outdoor environments, and environmentally sustainable ones. This reading is provided, and hopefully you'll enjoy some on the environmental sustainability that you should be considering in your environments in the future. Towards the end of the 19th century, there was a shift in children being in passive environments to more stimulating, participatory, active, exploratory environments. And we can thank theorists such as Froebel and Montessori and Steiner for their values in the suggestions, what they've given to the field in relation to Froebel, giving blocks as an example, physical objects for children as a play item, Montessori for the concept of child-sized furnishings, and Steiner around natural materials and the rhythm of the seasons. Jim Greenman is a prolific writer about environments as well. He's since passed away, but this is a great quote that I think you'll resonate with here. So we need to think about our philosophical values in relation to environments. They need to reflect what you believe in. They shape the identity of you, the service, the community that uses them, and they convey messages and powerful messages around the space in relation to how they're set up and the arrangement of things. So think of a special place where from the moment you walk in, you know you belong, feel comfortable and want to return again. Why do you think you feel this way? Do you think it might be an emotional connection or a link to childhood memory? Perhaps an attraction to the space's physical elements or colours, etc. It may be a place where you renew or revitalise yourself. And often you may find its attraction originates with your body's senses of sight and sound. This is what it's like for children as well. Which brings us to thinking about planning the environment and the characteristics of the space. The characteristics will include things like how much space you have and how it's arranged. It could relate to the licensing or regulatory requirements in relation to ratios, considerations of the child's independence in the way things are set up, and this will impact on children. You might also think about traffic routes away from learning centres and where there's no open spaces to promote running. So we can organise our programs into interest areas or permanent play spaces in the way they're set up. Aesthetics is another really important aspect in how you want to provide a beautiful environment that's appealing through use of natural light, living plants, interesting materials, colour, a place where there's joy in the way that the child can explore and use their senses. Scale and size is important. If we think about Montessori again in relation to offering child-sized furniture and that concept, equipment. We can also bring large empty roof spaces or high ceilings down with the sense so that you can offer things like mobiles or big fabrics hanging across the room to create a different atmosphere in relation to size and scale if it's a big high roof. Social density, we need to consider how many people inhabit the space. And again, ratios comes into mind here to be considering. Flexibility, you need to think about your use of materials and spaces and the way they'll be used, how you feel about whether children bring Play-Doh into a drama centre or a home corner, or whether you would want to bring a home corner oven if they're playing at Play-Doh in next to the table where the Play-Doh is. Arrangement of space in relation to ease of supervision, that you can scan and see all the children suitably. Low dividers, bookshelves that you can see across. Traffic flow. Clear pathways and smooth floorways for children to ensure safety. And children should be able to move from one place to another. So noise levels is another factor, making sure you don't have noisy play right next to something quiet. There is nothing worse than trying to read a story to a child and have noisy blocks crashing beside you. So quiet areas are important to think about, where there can be retreat areas for children, softness with cushions. And noisy play or active play can be in separate areas or outdoors as well. Having a balance of open and closed spaces that are suitable for whatever is going to happen in that space. Storage that's accessible for children as well. We'll look at some of the slides coming up that cover that. And safety, thinking about the safety of the choices of materials and equipment you choose, that they're non-toxic plants, non-toxic equipment, covering over plugs with or electrical circuits with plug covers, door handles that are at the right heights and locked where necessary, no sharp objects, thinking about where your fire exits are. All of these things are really important, and you need to be clear about the atmosphere that you want in relation to your philosophy. So let's look at some of these things to consider more deeply. So inviting environments, what do they look like? They're aesthetically pleasing. They're environments where teachers can observe how individual children use the materials differently. Rich early childhood environments, Carter and Curtis tell us, enhancing the ability to see, explore, appreciate and find joy in the beauty of the world, provides a rich environment for children. So enhance the curriculum with the materials that you choose and draw on. Presentation and aesthetics. Think about what you want things to look like in the way you set them out. And that's important for all age groups, for children to be surrounded by beautiful things that will foster an appreciation of respect for them. Providing children choice of expression. You can see here the set out in all the coloured pencils are displayed in an orderly arrangement where children see clearly which goes where. And that fosters them to pack up appropriately as well. Not higgledy-piggledy all chucked into something like an ice cream container that you often do see. Respectful presentation. Again, this sort of presentation prompts the children to pack up where things belong and go. It's clearly set out. So planning environments based on your philosophy values that support children's interests and dispositions for lifelong learning, where they've got access to water and nutritional needs to eat when they're hungry. This is all a way that you might consider where these things are placed in a setting to allow for children's independence and promote a sense of autonomy and independence. Being able to maintain routines where things are accessible for children to be involved in them. In this particular picture, the cupboard with the crockery and tablecloths were right next to the lunch table. So children were involved in these routines of setting the table. Setups to support investigation. Perhaps you can put something out like this top photo after a story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Put props out that invite the children to revisit that story and play there. Define the spaces by prompts for how many children play in a space, and you can do that with some of the accessory items. For example, this top photo, just simply having some play space mats or taking indoor material and equipment outdoors, like in the bottom photo. Time is really important so that you can have a flexible timetable where you can minimise transitions. There shouldn't be long waiting times for children lining up. You can give children warnings before something's about to happen, a trigger that they know that they've got time to pack up or first of all finish something that they might be creating. But perhaps you could place a shelf or have a space where children go and put things that are half completed if they aren't finished and the table's needed for lunch, for example, where children know they can go back and work on something later, the same day or the next day. Inclusive environments, thinking about what's in the environments. Are there woks and chopsticks and other items that might reflect the different cultural family backgrounds that access the service? Skin tone paints, where children could paint based on their own skin tones and not from a tokenistic point of view in the way you might do cultural diversity, but all year round. Outdoor play. Children need lots of opportunities for active physical play, so we need to provide equipment that's going to allow that, not just open the doors and have a quick run around, but allowing them to practice and refine their skills. There's been a rise of bush and beach kindergarten, and sometimes these are in local parks. Oh, excuse me, I've been holding back a sneeze. Where families might sign the children in at the bush kindergarten program because it's a place that the educators perhaps have set up in readiness by tents that house wet weather gear or a portable loo in a tent, and it might be a regular routine that environment is used weekly for the families to book their children into. But some services might just walk children to a local place. So these sorts of kindergarten bush programs, and including beach ones, are becoming an increasing program. There's about 90 across Victoria now, and they allow for a balance of risky play and negotiated play in the way that children use the environments that they can explore. And the teachers don't normally need to take any resources or equipment to these spaces. The children engage with the natural materials that they find in these spaces. They might have relationships formed with local people from the community who walk through the space with their dog. They may have the ranger visit. I know of a service where the children kept rolling down a grassy slope and the grass was needing to be revegetated, and the ranger helped the children, and they were involved in replanting or resowing seeds for that grassy hill area. Usually the educators will make a specific boundary area that's designated, that's the routine place where the children stay and play, so they become familiar with that space. And there's rich literacy that can go on. Children might pick up a stick and write on the ground. They might find a bug or a beetle and use an app on a mobile phone the teacher has about looking up and investigating the bugs and beetles and identifying or sorting and classifying materials. Often the experience at the Bush Kindergarten program might link back to something else going on in the service at the home service when they get back to their other physical environment. But there's definitely an increase of these, which is exciting because many long daycare centres or kindergartens may have much smaller play spaces for outdoor play, so it's another element to provide as a rich experience for the children. Here's an example of Westgarth Kindergarten in Victoria, and Doug Fargar, who is the teacher there, gives this quote. National quality standards is an important factor to think about for environments. Quality Area 3 covers environments, the physical environment. The value of indoor-outdoor environments. In this regard, I'm referring to programming where it supports a child to transition from one space from indoors to outdoors or outdoors to in, that they choose where they go. And staff need to think about supervision and ratios if operating a program like this, but it's a wonderful way to address many children's needs that might need active play as soon as they arrive at a service. And it's allowing for flexibility in the way children play. Brain compatible learning environments. These are spaces where children are free to explore and discover. They provide a lot of natural elements. You can see here the bottom photo and a great quote from Appleton and Kirby, where children need opportunities for refuge because they are aesthetically pleasing and they do fulfill basic biological needs that children need to see without being seen. If you can remember childhood and how you might have loved being in a cubby house or hiding under a blanket, remember the old peek-and-boo game, peek-a-boo? Children do love being able to hide and watch out to the world. Sustainable environments where routines are embedded in policies, in philosophy, in practices that are occurring each day. Worm farms, compost heaps, paper recycling, children learning about energy consumption, turning off the lights before they go outside, helping to take the washing to the laundry or to hang washing outside in the outdoor play area. There's a wealth of things that can be done to involve children in sustainable environments in the way you set them up. Vegetable gardens, harvesting the fruit that might grow in the playground or on a tree, or picking vegetables to use for a lunch program. So we've come to an end. Stop, pause, reflect. I'm leaving you with this question about thinking about how you might promote awareness of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture to acknowledge Australia's heritage. So in what ways could educators introduce children to Indigenous Australia through play spaces in a contemporary context? You'll see some things here that might prompt your thinking, but go onto the discussion board and see if you can think of some things to share and add. And also thinking about this topic, remember the Dreamtime stories that you might be able to access from libraries. Do you know any? Check out YouTubes and find library titles. You'll sometimes find YouTubes that are about such stories as well. Think about children's books, musical instruments, puppets, puzzles. Look at the Snakes or SNACE website for some ideas. But think about this, it's important to think about how you can reflect Indigenous culture within the environments you work in. Thanks for listening. Bye.